بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا وشفيعنا ومولانا محمد المصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم. We begin with the glorious name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah, we thank you for all that you have given us. Allah, we beg of you to forgive us for our shortcomings and our sins. We send our salutations and greetings upon our hero, our role model, Nabi Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I'd like to say a warm welcome to our parents. It is a bit of a chilly night. So Jazakallah khairan to our parents for joining us here, to our educators, to our board member, and for all those joining virtually. Jazakumullah khairan. I see we got a good turnout online, mashallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept for you coming here. The nature of our existence is not based on human life. When we look at around us, the very air that's around us, there is a creator that created everything that we know, see, and well beyond. This infinitely glorious creator sent a message to you and I. And this message, this communication, it is important for us to know and understand, because not only does it give us success in this world, but it grants us an eternity of pleasure. It grants us an eternity of passing in this world, an eternity of ultimate success. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control of all things. And Allah is the one who defines what is right and what is wrong. Allah defines our life. We don't define it. I didn't choose where to be born, when to be born, how to be born. I don't choose when I will live or die, when I will get sick, how long will I be healthy. All that is in the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today, this meeting, as much as we send our children to school to score and achieve academically, we commit ourselves to a much higher degree and level to ensure that our children come closer to their Creator. That is why we send our children to a Muslim school, so that they can get the best of Islamic education. And at the peak of Islamic education is the study of the Qur'an. I'd like to open tonight's session with a recitation from the Qur'an by Qari Shurahbil Bek. Qari sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لله ملك السماوات والأرض يخلق ما يشاء يهب لمن يشاء ويهب لمن يشاء الذكور أو يزوجهم ذكرانا وإناثا ويجعل من يشاء عقيما إنه عليم قدير وما كان لبشر أن يكلمه الله إلا وحيا أو من وراء حجاب أو يرسل رسولا فيوحي بإذنه ما يشاء إنه علي حكيم صدق الله العظيم.
Fantastic, mashallah. It is always a pleasure to listen to the glorious Quran being recited in the correct manner. I always say that the Quran is not about how sweet and how melodious it sounds, but when you listen to the Quran and you feel as if your Creator is talking to you, that is when Quran is recited beautifully. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and our children that they are able to recite the Quran correctly, that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it conveys the meaning, the spirit, and the message as is intended by the grand, exalted, and glorious Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The purpose of tonight's meeting, as we've mentioned in our circular and our messages, is a Quran program information session. We are here to speak about the Quran program that's taking place for the grade 1s to the grade 6. And I have with us the pioneer of our program, Qari Tahir Sallu, who also serves on our board of governors as the deputy chairman. I'd like to call upon Qari Tahir Sallu to illuminate and discuss with us the Quran sharing program. Just a few house rules before I call up Qari sir. For the ladies, the bathrooms are here on my right hand side, that's your left. For the men folk, the bathrooms are on my left hand side. It's through the glass door you see on the left hand side. Just as you turn left, you continue and the bathrooms are there, inshallah. If you need any assistance, there are educators here in the front. For the females, any assistance, there are educators here in the front as well. If there are any questions, inshallah, please make a mental note of it. And after Qari Sahib's address, you are welcome to ask any questions. Jazakumullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for granting us the ability to put our children through the studies of the Quran, which without doubt is the highest learning achievement which they can ever achieve in life. Our objective of getting together today is to discuss the new Quran program that has been implemented in the school from grade 1 to 6. Firstly, the benefit of learning the Quran without doubt is beyond our comprehension. Learning the Quran is one of the primary objectives of our life. So when learning the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to it in the Quran on many, many occasions, that those alladhina yatluna al-Quran, those who read the Quran, without doubt this is something that is very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People cannot gain proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through any other means greater than that of the Quran. So the Quran is our greatest and our shortest way to get into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the students start learning the Quran, not only does it benefit them, but it also benefits their parents. One of the first lessons that are taught to children when they start reading the Quran is a very famous incident that is mentioned in many, many different narrations of the person who passed away, the father who passed away when his child was still very young. And when the father was in his grave, for whatever reason, he was undergoing difficulty. And then all of a sudden, one day, his punishment is ceased. And when asked what happened, why today, he is then told that his child started learning the Quran, and the child learned the first letter, Alif. And based on that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy was such that this man was forgiven. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is without doubt most forgiving. So when we put our children through the course of learning the Quran, we should understand that it is not just a simple thing that we are doing and putting them through a lesson, no, but it is very important, probably one of the most important lessons that we can ever teach our children in life. Now, one is reading the Quran and one is reading the Quran correctly, which is a huge difference. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us in the words of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Inna Allah ta'ala yuhibbu an yuqra al-Quran kama unzil. Allah loves for the Quran to be recited in the way that it was revealed. And the Quran was not revealed haphazardly. The Quran was revealed with tajweed. Now, on the flip side of it, a person who does not read the Quran correctly, رُبَّ قَارِئٍ لِلْقُرْآنِ وَالْقُرْآنُ يَلْعَنُهُ. May Allah protect us all. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that at times a person is reading the Quran, but the Quran is cursing this person. Why? Because the person has not given the due importance to reciting the Quran correctly. So this is something that is very, very important. Now, we know Arabic is very, very sensitive. So if a letter is not pronounced correctly, it can actually change the meaning of the Quran. So the most common example that is given is the letter Kaf and Qaf. So if you take the most common example that is always given when you talk about tajweed, is if you take the word kalb with a Kaf, which means dog. But the same letter, if you pronounce it with a Qaf and you say qalb, it means heart. Now, can you imagine the difference in meaning from dog to heart? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran mentions the heart so many times, and 90% of these times it refers to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now this will give us an inclination on how important it is for us to read the Quran correctly. Yes, there is an effort that goes into reading the Quran correctly. That's why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the person who makes an effort to read the Quran correctly and has difficulty, lahu ajran, that person gets double the reward. So a person who reads the Quran and is fluent in it, he gets one. But the person who makes an effort and it's difficult for him, he gets double the reward. Now, coming to our current Quran program. So we know for years our children have been learning to read the Quran, but as we go along the system, we're just simply not getting the results that we actually want. We don't want our children to just read the Quran and we are happy about it, and my child read the Quran and my child made a khatam of the Quran and I gave out a chocolate and I'm happy about it. No. What do we want to achieve out of teaching our children the Quran? Our primary objective is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When teaching our children the Quran, that's our first objective. When teaching our children the Quran correctly, why are we teaching them correctly? Is because when these children leave this institute, so they may be here up to grade 12, but when that child leaves this school, for the rest of their lives, they are going to be reading the Quran. When anything happens in their life, every morning they will open the Quran. When something happens, somebody is ill, the children open the Quran. When somebody passes away, they open the Quran. We don't want our children to be reading the Quran incorrectly. So after a lot of research on the topic of how do you teach children in the best method that has been proven as a very successful method, there are many methods of teaching the Quran. And you cannot say that one is right and one is wrong. But the one that we have found after extensive research of not just locally, but internationally, in speaking to people who are experts in the field of teaching the Quran, we have eventually we found a particular institute that has got a tried and tested method of teaching the Quran to our children. Now, when there was a conference that was held recently in the Middle East, wherein there were people from throughout the world who attended this conference, to see what is the best method of teaching our children. Now, every country has got different challenges when it comes to reading the Quran. So in our country, we know that there are challenges. Children are reading the Quran, and we may not know that they're not reading correctly. Now, how much of effort can be made in the class? How much of effort needs to be made at home? That is very important. So when taking into cognizance all of these common errors that are made, we found an institute in Cape Town which has got a tried and tested method of teaching the Quran in such a way that every student in the whole school reads Quran exactly the same. Now, how do they accomplish this? So the Imam of Masjid al-Aqsa was here, Sheikh Dawood Saeed al-Qalqili, and he is probably one of the very, very qualified Qurra in the entire Middle East. He sits on a panel of judges for majority of the Quran Qiraat competitions. He is the Imam of Masjid al-Aqsa. He was visiting South Africa and he had an invite from this particular school in Cape Town. So when we went to the school, they asked some of the students to read. When the first child read, his response was, "You told me you're bringing me to a school, not to a university." So we said, "No, it is a school, these are all children." He said, "Well, the child that read now is not reading Quran like a student of his school. This student sounds to me like the student has studied the different qira'at. Now, one is reading the Quran correctly with tajweed, and one is studying the different qira'at, which is the 7 and the 10 different methods of reading the Quran, which is very intense." After hearing this child, he was under the impression that these children are at university level of reading the Quran. We then asked, the principal asked the entire school to read the opening verses of Surah Yasin. Every child sounded exactly the same. So if one child was reading an alphabet in a particular way, the mad, the ghunna, the pronunciation, every child sounded exactly the same. That was what had piqued our curiosity, and we then obviously went deeper into going to the school and finding out. On my very first visit to the school, I went into one of the classrooms and the teacher said to me, "This is our methodology." We went through the entire methodology. And then he said to me, "Don't you want to listen to any of the students read?" So I said, "Please give me one of the students to read." So he said, no, you choose. Now we know that if a visitor comes to our school and we want a student to read, we are going to select the best reader. So I said, give me your best reader. The teacher with utmost confidence said, I don't need to choose. Every student in my class reads the same. You choose anybody. So I selected a child. This child read, called the next child, exactly the same. Only difference was the voice. When the children read, the way they articulate the letters of the Quran is unbelievable. These children are so dedicated to learning the Quran correctly that 90% of the children who finish in that particular school end up doing Hifz al-Quran. Why? Because now they also realize that they're reading Quran better. They also realize that there's such a beauty in putting effort into reading the Quran correctly. Now, the system is very different compared to what you and I may have been accustomed to all along. Now, when reading the Quran, the most important thing, there are two things. Tajweed. What is Tajweed? Tajweed is to read every letter correctly. Now, every letter has got what is known as a makhraj, which means a place of pronunciation. They go into in-depth teaching the children every alphabet. So when any child comes from any school, the first step is to teach them the alphabet. And that is exactly what we have started in our school. Now you may say that my child was reading Quran already. Why is my child now learning the alphabet? And that's normal and natural for any parent to query. That why is my child doing this? We don't intend just letting your child finish the Quran and going home. We want that foundation to be so solid that when your child reads, you must be absolutely certain and proud that my child is reading the Quran correctly. We don't want your child to come out of the school and read Quran and sound like anybody else. We want the students of our school to be the best reciters of Quran. Now, yes, we're taking it to another level. We don't want, if you take 10 children from 10 schools, we want our children to be differentiated by their best recital of the Quran. Now, how do they start? They start with the alphabet. Now, if we don't do the alphabet, it's literally impossible for us to then teach the students the proper pronunciation of alphabets. When reading the Quran in any Qiraat university, even in Al-Azhar, the first step that you are taught is to open your mouth. So if you don't open your mouth, you cannot articulate the letters correctly. Now, I know this may sound like a boring tajweed lesson to you, but I'm just trying to impress on your mind why we have gone to the alphabet. Now, when reading the Quran, if a person is not loud about it and cannot open the mouth, you will not be able to pronounce the alphabets correctly. If you can't pronounce the alphabets correctly, you're going to be reading the Quran incorrectly. So the methodology, which was founded by Sheikh Buri rahimahullah, Sheikh Yusuf Buri rahimahullah in Cape Town, who is a stalwart of Quran. I mean, he's a man who was a legend of the Quran. His day and night, everything was the Quran. He formulated this way, and the system is running up to today in Jam'iyatul Qur'an in Cape Town. Jam'iyatul Qur'an students have taken the prizes in international Qira'at competitions. And we are so fortunate that, alhamdulillah, just today was the first day of one of Jam'iyatul Qur'an's best graduates. It is a lady who finished in Jam'iyatul Qur'an. She has finished the 7 Qira'at, the 10 Qira'at. She has studied in Sham, Egypt, in the Middle East, in many places of the world, probably one of their best graduates. And alhamdulillah, we are fortunate that she has joined the JMS team. So to start off, your children are going to be learning the alphabet again. Now, when your children come home, they're going to be learning the alphabet. What do you need to do? You need to sit with a child and give them that support. Your child will ask you that, but I can read the Quran. Remember, if any building's foundation is not solid, whatever you build over that can never be solid. So we want to get the alphabets 100% accurate. Our teachers on the ground have gone to great lengths to learn the system, and they are implementing it. So they will be teaching the children, and it will be different compared to what we are accustomed to. So, for example, when they are teaching the children alif, right? They will be teaching the children, making them say it over and over and over again. When they come ba, when they say the letter ba, it will sound like it's got a jerk at the end. Now, there's a reason for that. When they're teaching the children to say the letter jim, they tell the child to smile. Why? You will notice that when you are reading the Quran, there is a particular way that the letter Jim is supposed to be articulated. Now, everybody's got a different methodology, but this methodology has been proven and it's tested. Once the children have learned, the learners have gone through the alphabet, they now go on to what is known as a part 1 and part 2. Yes, it will take time, without doubt. But once your children have finished with part 2 and they start reading the Quran, without doubt you yourself will notice a difference. Let me tell you one thing that convinced me on the methodology. When we went to Cape Town, there was a student that came and the student had a lisp. So the student could not pronounce most of the alphabets. When the student came there, the principal called this child and he said to me, ask this child how many madrasas he's gone to. So every madrasa he went to, they came to one conclusion: the child's got a lisp, he's not going to be able to read Quran correctly, so just go soft on him, let him just carry on the year. Jameel al-Qur'an said, no way. Allah revealed the Quran for everybody. We are going to make an effort on this child. They put the child through the exact same system. I visited Jameel al-Qur'an 2 months later. When I walked in, the principal was ecstatic. He told me the first thing before you do anything, he told me sit down. He called this boy. He said, come here, sit in front. And he told him, read. Wallahi, the child read perfectly. That teacher dedicated his time to make sure that that child can read the Quran correctly. And that is what we've seen. Here in our school already, I heard such a good word from a teacher. One of our muallimas mentioned to us the other day that her own child could not pronounce a scene correctly. Right? And no matter how much you try, if you just have the right method, she implemented the method. And you see the joy in the eyes of a parent when they've achieved something. She said, now my child is reading the scene perfectly. So going through the alphabet is going to take time. When they go on to part 1, part 2, your children will be going slow. But once they are on to the actual reading of Quran, trust me, you will hear the difference. And as parents, what we need, please be patient, number 1. Number 2, please give time to your children at home. If you sit with them, no matter how much of time you take out, when you're sitting with your child and say, come and read to me. As a parent, I may not know everything. So when my child is learning, and my child is learning the right way to read Quran, I will learn at the same time. So it's never too late for us to also learn. But what will it do? It will give our children that motivation that my mother or my father is with me. They are with me and they are supporting me in this. Now, if we don't give our parents, our children that support, they're going to feel like they're on their own. Children are going to feel demotivated. They're going to say, but I can read Quran. Why am I going back to Alif Bata? You need to tell your child honestly that, okay, I notice a difference in your reading. You're pronouncing the letters correctly. When our children go through this and you will assist them at home, you will see a difference in their recitation. So Jameel al-Qur'an's system is such that they want the children to pronounce every letter correctly. Number 2, when they're flowing with the recitation, you will notice a difference. And the third, and for me, one of the most very important aspects is they don't only teach children to read the Quran with tajweed, but they also teach them nabar. Nabar means to read the Quran according to meaning. Now, how will that benefit your child? If you are reading, simple example, let's take Surah Alam Tara. So if you read Surah Alam Tara, our common way of reading will be Alam Tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. Now, what does Jameel al-Qur'an teach you? The word Alam Tara is one word. What is Allah saying? Do you not see? Kayfa is a question. Kayfa is one word. How? Fa'ala is one word. Fa'ala means to do. Rabbuka is one word, your Lord. Now, when they teaching the child to read, how will they teach a child? Alam tara kayfa. So when the student is reading, they'll tell the child, kayfa is a question. So you will read it like a question. Alam tara kayfa. Fa'ala is a word on its own. So now the child is not going to read Alam tara kayfa fa'ala. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala. Even though to us it may sound right, but what is the right way of reading it? Alam tara kayfa fa'ala. Now you can get the difference. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala is one way. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala. Now you're hearing, okay, fa'ala is a separate word. Now when the child reads in that way, it creates a desire in the child that what is the meaning of what I'm reading? Why am I reading this differently? So this is one of the winning aspects of how they teach the Quran. Whenever visitors hear their students read, they say, MashaAllah, these children understand the Quran. And they say, no, they don't understand one word of the Quran. They don't understand the translation of the Quran. They say it's impossible. The way the child is reading the Quran as if they are speaking the Quran. And that is where a major difference comes between an Arab and a non-Arab. Now, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Iqra'ul Qur'ana biluhun al-Arab," read the Quran in the way of the Arab. One of the reasons why ulama give is when you read the Quran, you're supposed to read it like you understand the Quran. You're supposed to read it like it's a speech. So by doing this method, inshallah, your children will be able to read the Quran in such a way that it will create the desire in them that I now want to know what is Allah telling me in this verse. Now, yes, it is a slow process. We have had teething problems. Grade 4, 5, and 6 will not be going according to the full new system because we realize that, okay, children are already at an age where it's going to be slightly difficult to undo the method. Also, they want to start reading the Quran. So grades 4, 5, and 6 will be doing the program, but intermittently, and they will be reading portions of the Quran as well. We're going to focus on surahs which they read in their daily salah. So at least those surahs will become solid. Grades 1, 2, and 3 will be doing the entire program from start to end in accordance to the entire new program. Now, when the children read and you see a difference, you will appreciate it. And we have not just simply gone to Cape Town and picked up one school and said, right, this sounds nice place in Cape Town, let's adopt it. No. There has been great deliberation on it. We've looked for a method that is proven, that is tested. End of the day, understand one thing. Your children are our amanat. And we want the best for your child. We need patience from your side. We need encouragement from your side. If you don't understand, please contact the teachers. Say, listen, I don't understand. Why is my child reading like this? What is the correct way? Our teachers have gone one extra mile. They are going to dedicate their time out of school hours to give you some content weekly so that you will also understand what is the methodology of teaching. So when you are now teaching your child, you also understand in the back of your mind, okay, this is the reason why we're reading in this way. So inshallah, we give you our word that your child's interest is at heart. We want your child to be the best reader of Quran. خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. The best amongst you are those who learn and teach the Quran. When your children finish, for me, I know as a parent you would want to see this, but I cannot wait for the day when we successfully implement our program and our children can sit in front and read. And when we get a visitor to the school, we don't need to pick out one child. We can say, choose any child in our school. When your child comes home and reads the Quran, when your family has a function, your child must be the one standing out to say, this child reads the best Quran. That is why we have implemented this new system. We ask for your patience, we ask for your cooperation with regard to it, and inshallah it will work. End of the day, I know I'm pushing it, but I want that child to have the desire to say that, okay, now I'm reading the Quran correctly, I'm reading it in this way, it's a question, but let me study what is Allah telling me in the Quran. Let me go further and understand what is the Quran telling me. And if we can achieve that, then as parents, inshallah, the day your eyes close and you go in that grave, your greatest asset, your greatest privilege, your greatest ticket to Jannah will be that child of yours who you dedicated for the Quran. So this is where we come from. Our children have shown a lot of interest, a lot of keenness. Yes, amongst the grade 4, 5, 6, I understand that they feel we are reading Quran. Why are we going back? We need this encouragement from your side also. We have taken into cognizance that parents want to see the children finish. The last thing that I want to touch on is the fear that my child will not make a khatam of the Quran. Right? So many parents feel that if we're going at this pace, my child will not make a khatam of the Quran. We have carefully thought about that. We will prefer that your child can read even 5 or 10 juz of the Quran 100% perfect, rather than reading the entire Quran, making a khatam, giving a chocolate with a ribbon, and we all feel we've achieved something, but when the child goes home and you open the Quran, the child can't read. For the rest of your child's life, remember, it's as simple as giving them a tool. If we give them the tools correctly, your child can open up the Quran anywhere after this. They'll be able to read the Quran correctly. So, whilst we understand everybody wants a child to make a khatam of the Quran, remember your child's life is not confined to the school. We want them to be able to read correctly, so that for the rest of their lives, anywhere they open, they must be able to read the Quran 100% correctly. That is where we come from. We thank you for your attendance. If anybody's got any questions, we will try and, to the best of our ability, try and answer your questions. This is where we are. The two most important things I need everybody to take home. One is your patience with the system, and number two, your assistance at home. Please sit with your child. I know they have a lot of work, but I'm pleading with you. Even if you can give your child 10 minutes a day, but sit with them for Quran. You know, one of the teachers said, they walked into a class and asked of the entire class, who opened your Quran last night for sabak? And out of the entire class of over 20 children, 4 children. It's disturbing. We have to make that concerted effort. And I know out there are parents who are going the extra mile. I know that you're giving your time. You're making sure your children are learning. And may Allah reward you for that. May Allah bless you for that. But I beg, please, give some time to your child's Quran. I know this is a school. I know you want your children to become the best. And may they become the best. May your child become the best in whatever field they're going to. Whether they become a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, an alim, alima, whatever it may be. We want them to be the best. But whatever they become, they have to read the Quran. We want them to be able to read the Quran correctly. That is where we come from. If there are any questions, we will try and take in a few questions. The institute in Cape Town is Jam'iyyatul Qurra. Jam'iyyatul Qurra. That is the institute in Cape Town. We have the principal and the coordinator of the school that comes down to our school regularly to do an assessment of the children. They were here today as well. We had someone here last week as well to go through the system and see if it is working and wherever we need to tweak the system. So we are going through that as well.
From the men's side, any questions from the ladies? Those who are online, the number is on the chat. You are welcome to send a WhatsApp to the chat. Yeah. Any other questions in the chat?
Gee. So each class is different.
So with regards to how much time I allocated for learners, every Muslim school uses a standard. So from the earlier grades, you have more time allocated towards Quran and your Islamic subjects in general. I'm sure your children will tell you. As you go into the higher grades, because the demands of the CAP syllabus increases and they require more time for those subjects, so the Quran does go less. So there's different hours for each grade. Grade 1, 2, 3 will have more. Grade 4, 5, 6 will have a little bit less. As you go 7, 8, 9, it gets a bit less. And 10, 11, 12 obviously has the least amount of time it's allocated.
So in the beginning, it's 1 hour per day per class. So for your grade 1 up to, I think it's grade 4, up to grade 6, they have 1 hour a day, which is dedicated to Quran. Also in this method, children are put into groups and then the teacher will listen to them. So once they've passed the basics, every child in a class will be able to progress on their own speed, which means that your whole class is not going to be stagnant at a particular point of reading the Quran. If after your child has done the basics, the grounds, and your child is reading well, the child will progress. If the child is having difficulty, the teachers in the class will dedicate more time to make sure that the child can still read correctly. Some parents have asked me that, is the success of Jamiatul Qurra not based on the Cape Townian accent? So common valid question. So, for example, if you say yeah, Egyptians are famous Qur'an in the world, is it because of their voices? Is it because of where they come from? When you come to Jamiatul Qur'an, at one stage it did cross my mind that it could be the accent. But when I went there, I asked this question. So the principal, Sheikh Suleiman, called a student up and he told the student, read. And the child started reading. And then when the child completed, he said to me, where is this boy from? So I said, he's from Cape Town. So he said, no, he asked the boy, where are you from, my son? And he said, I'm from Durban. He said, how long are you in Cape Town? He said, 6 months. So when the boy started speaking, that's when I picked up, okay, he's from Durban because of his accent, but in the Quran, completely different. So the methodology is such that it will inshallah encompass everybody no matter what their background may be.
Any other questions? G.
That's what you grade one. What is the how to finish Quran in the school? You have a program for this.
Do we have a program to finish Quran? Grade, small one, grade 1.
Okay, so in terms of just reading the Quran, with the new system that we are doing, basically grade 1 and grade 2 will be your groundwork. Grade 3 is where they start reading joint letters. And by the time the child comes to grade 4, they'll be reading Quran fluently. Once a child is reading Quran fluently, then it depends on the pace that the child is able to read. So for example, if the child is solidly grounded in the way they're reading and they're reading well, that child will not be restricted to 1 page of sabak. Remember, on our old system of teaching, you were learning 1 page per day. Now, you already have the skills on how to read, how to pronounce every letter. So it's basically now simply looking in and reading. So as we stand currently, it's going to be our first year of implementing the system. So we're not going to be able to put a target to say, okay, in grade 3, you'll be able to finish Quran, even though we are optimistic, inshallah, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that by grade 3, our children will be able to read the Quran. Our inspector who was here last week, he said to me, from what he has seen, the program is running faster than he expected because of it being new. So yes, I got to give credit. Our teachers have dedicated a lot of their time and their effort to make it work. So I think inshallah by grade 3, the children will be able to read with joining letters already.
Okay, we've got 2 more questions. One is, after part 1 and part 2, do the children move to reading the Quran?
Yes, after completing part 1 and part 2, the children do go on to reading the Quran. Now, when it comes to where will they start? Will they start from Alif Lam Mim or will they do Juz Amma? The preferred method, according to Jamiatul Qur'an, is to do Juz Amma because that is where the children, majority of us will read that in our salah. So they want that to be 100% solid. Also, the methodology of Jamiatul Qur'an is that by the time you finish Juz Amma, you completely memorized it. So it's not just Juz Amma looking in, it will be completely memorized. Thereafter, the rest of the Quran will be looking in.
The next question is, when can learners start Hifz?
So Hifz al-Quran depends on every child is different. If you go to any Hifz Ustad, they will give you their interpretation of when they feel a child is ready to start Hifz. So I asked this question to Jamiatul Qur'an. Their method in their school is grade 1, 2, 3, and 4 is only for groundwork. Once you're done with grade 4, you're now ready to go into Hifz. Every Hifz Ustad may not be comfortable with that. But if we go according to the system, when your child finishes grade 4, they should be ready to go into any Hifz class at that moment. I must reiterate, every Hifz Ustad is different. Some put an age rather than the ability to read. Some say the child must be able to read fluently. So that obviously will differ on the particular Hifz class that the child goes to. With regard to our current Hifz class that we do have, we are obviously working on uplifting those standards as well, inshallah. And we will be implementing a girls' Hifz class. We are just looking for a suitable candidate to take on that post. May not be this year, but we are we're very keen on starting it by next year, inshallah.
Baik, bilang saya इनको कब से और कौन पढ़ाता है? मालिमा पढ़ाती है या फिर मालिम पढ़ाता है? एक की लाइन से कभी कभी मैं क्या होता है कि मैं क्लास लेता हूँ तो बच्चे तो कभी पूछते हैं हमको क्वेश्चन वो फेल हो जाते हैं तो फिर क्या होता है बेसिक बातें के सुनते हैं आज इनको कि फराइज ऑफ गुसल फराइज ऑफ वजू वाजिबात नमाज के फराइज है तो कभी इन लोग नहीं समझ पाते हैं फिर इनको अलग से हम मदरसे में जो हमारे जो आते वक्त में बच्चे तो अक्सरियत हमारी यहाँ JMS की फिर उनको हम पढ़ाते हैं तो ये मुझे जानना भी था कि जैसे अकाइद की लाइन से इनको किस तरह पढ़ाते हैं
मैं अंग्रेजी में जवाब दूं
हाँ
ठीक. Okay, so the question is that if there are students who is teaching them the other subjects, meaning aqaid, fiqh, etc. So for your grade 1, 2, and 3, they have specific ustads that will teach that syllabus. Now, if there is a particular child, for example, like what you're saying, and they don't know the basics, and that must be brought to our attention, because then that is something that we need to look into. Whatever the syllabus is for that particular year, by the end of that, we endeavor for them to know. They must know that bare minimum. So it's not going to be one teacher who teaches aqaid across the school. It will be different teachers for different classes.
I have like 7 years old girl, 12 years girl, boy also.
Okay, so 7 years would be grade 2.
Yeah, grade 2, grade 7 also. So asking about okay, tell me faraid of ghusl और वाजिबात और everything. उन लोग बताते हैं लेकिन इतना खुलकर नहीं बताते तो हमारे लिए जो स्पेशल जो लड़कियां हैं उनका फाउंडेशन और ये अकाइद है मुस्लिम मसाइल है तो अभी ही उनको जरूरी है जो 10 साल के बाद को
So, with regard to the fiqh, especially for the girls, we try and have females teaching the girls, because obviously that's their intricate masail. Similarly, with the boys, once they reach a certain age, we try and have only the males teaching on the male side. But we look into what you said is a concern. We just note it down and inshallah we look into it.
because मेरे पास बीच में ऐसा sometimes coming girls like ये when he have special diet then उनको पता ही नहीं होता है कि भाई हम जैसे कि भाई ये कुरान की कोई आयतें हैं या ये है, वो है तो अगर इनको मालूम है वो हाँ तरकीब दे तो ये बहुत अच्छा हमारे लिए फ्यूचर मुस्तकबिल भी बहुत अच्छा है
Okay, we'll look into it. Jazakallah.
Another question, will this system also later be implemented for the bigger grades?
So our vision is we're starting grade 1, 2, and 3, right? But as our grade 3s of this year go into grade 4 next year, then we'll implement it 1 to 4, because those children are already in the system. Once obviously that lot now go to grade 5, it will be grade 1 to 5. So we cannot implement it in the entire school one shot, because obviously those children have already got some sort of grounding. But every year it will increase so that within a space of time, from grade 1 right till the end, we will have a uniform system, inshallah. Okay, I think we don't have any further questions on that. Jazakumullah khair. Ji.
Is it an Islamic school like similar to JMS or is it just Qur'an? And number two is, I know JMS, they oversee all the Islamic syllabus throughout the thing. With is JMS aware of this new system that you keep implementing and changing?
Okay, so two questions. The first one, the system that is being implemented in Jamiat al-Qura. So Jamiat al-Qura is a full school. Grade 1, 2, and 3, they focus more on your academics and less on your Islamiyat. When you come to grade 4, then they switch the roles around. So the students do your academics as well as your Islamiyat. However, they don't do all the subjects in terms of academics. And their reason for that is they have got an exemption from the Western Cape government where they don't have to finish all of the normal syllabus, but they still graduate in matric. So it is a fully fledged school where they do academics and they do Islamic subjects as well. They have a special Hifz school for it as well. So when you're done in your foundation phase of Jamiat al-Qura, you now have an option to go into the HIBs. If you go into the HIBs, you do circular subjects, but you do it very minimal. Only your necessities in order to pass the grade. So that's how we relate to them. Secondly, Jamiyat is informed and they are aware of our program that we are currently running. It is a pilot project, so there isn't any other schools currently that are running it, but Jamiyat is fully aware of the Quran project. The other subjects that we are doing, which means your fiqh, aqaid, history, all of that, is still running fully under the Jamiyat, and they are here for assessments as well. We're using the Jamiyat syllabus, and that carries on as normal.
Okay, I think I don't have any more
Nothing on
questions.
there? Okay, Jazakumullah khair for your time. Much appreciated. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your time, for coming out for the sake of the Quran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Oh, I don't know. I just drank from one of them. Sorry.